Baby, life's what you make it. Celebrate it. Anticipate it. Yesterday's faded. Nothing can change it. Life is what you make it. Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue B-Sides. This is a show where we sort of break it out, talk about topics that are really sort of getting at us for a little bit. Kind of step away from the video games, although today we're going to start directly in video games, but not necessarily the playing or the making, but the executiving of video games.
Is that a word that you just made up?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I just woke up and I'm going to be free and easy with vocabulary today.
All right. Well, here we go.
So settle in and don't take notes for English class because I will get you wrong.
Before we get into that though, can we like kind of address what we're doing with B-Sides now since we've been away for a little bit?
Sure. Okay, so for housekeeping for B-Sides, like Corey and I have been talking, and as well as the rest of the ragtag Rebel Alliance here at Nerds Gone Rogue, we've been talking about how to address B-Sides because we've had some questions about it. And while Corey put forth the idea in the chat, and I think Moose really agreed, as well as I, like we're gonna try and do B-Sides at least once a month. But I also feel like when something big happens in one of our purviews, we should probably do one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, like I know maybe a lot of people have noticed who have been kind of on the B-Sides feed for a while, but like we're also posting interviews and spoiler casts and everything, and movie commentaries there too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to go on the feeds from the groups that do them also, but that's kind of like a catch-all feed as well. So
just like, hey, if you're not sure what the other people are doing on the channel, this is where you'll find it, or at least chunks of it, so it can take you that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good approach until schedules change, which hopefully soon. So today we're going to address a big event at Nintendo. I'm gonna let you go into it, Corey. So what's tittillating you this week about Nintendo?
Bowsette is canon. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Reggie Fils-Aime, the kind of face, I would say, for Nintendo of America since 2004, I want to say.
Yeah.
And the president for 13 years announced he is retiring in April.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of surprising. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I think like, you know, where the Switch is at and how successful Nintendo is right now, and I would kind of think you would want to kind of see it through, you know, all the through, like at least until the Switch has run its course and whatever Nintendo's doing next. Then, you know, that would be a point to be like, you know what, that's a good place to hang it up. But yeah, man, that was just kind of a random announcement. And did you watch the video that he posted, Nintendo posted?
I watched the one where it was like 2.5 minutes, and because I'm just waking up, like my memory is really bad, but I saw it was him talking about, you know, how he liked it, and it was interspersed with clips of him, you know, being Reggie in front of people.
Yeah.
And it was just, my thoughts on it in general are like, wow, like I started repaying attention to video games at a point where, like, every time I saw Reggie's face, I was like, man, this guy is dumb. but like I have slowly grown to see Reggie for the adorable thing he turned being the CEO of a company into. And I feel like that was all culminated that one E3 where Nintendo did a direct, and it was him, Satoru Iwata, and Shigeru Miyamoto as puppets. And all of them were sort of leaning into their own absurdity in a way that was both smart and engaging. That it's so much so that you really couldn't hate him for it.
Yeah,
I mean, when the Iwata puppet looks at Miyamoto and goes, "Hey Fox, do a barrel roll," or you see him doing, lifting weights. Nintendo 63, Nintendo 64.
yeah, yeah. I remember the first time I saw Reggie, like it was that E3 conference, because I was like, it was at a point where I was really getting back into games too. Like I got a GameCube, and like I really loved my GameCube, and I was sitting in where was I? I think I was just sitting in my bedroom at my parents' house, and yeah, man, he was kind of like, I'm Reggie, and I'm about kicking ass and taking names, and we're about making games. And I was like, man, this is very un-Nintendo.
Yeah.
And from someone who came from, what was it, like Pizza Hut and Reebok or something?
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy definitely could sell some shoes, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sell me some cross trainers, you know what I mean?
But see, on the same token, like you look at just that brief chunk of his CV, you'd be like, "Yep, he could sell me shoes, he could sell me some pizza, and he could sell me some video games."
Right? Oh man, yeah, it's weird, man. Like he definitely kind of became the face of Nintendo, and like what at least what I think of as Nintendo, like since then. And I mean, Satoru Iwata, of course, but on this side of the pond, Reggie is definitely the man. And
yeah.
It was a shock. Like I was at work, and Ed actually texted me, and he's like, Reggie just retired. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? And I thought it was just some dumb clickbait website or something. And he sent me the link, and it was like the official like IGN link. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then it linked out to the NOA Twitter, and I watched that video. And yeah, man, it was kind of cool to see someone in this industry go out the way he's going out. It's not because of some scandal. It's not because he's sick. It's not because, he cheated on his wife with someone, and now he's like, he has to forced out or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to see, like,
it's not that crazy shit that's going on at Gearbox.
Yeah. And it's crazy that like his normal retirement is a news story, because it's not something that usually happens recently,
I mean, and like, yeah, and getting back to where I had first become aware of Reggie, I was like, man, this guy's a clown. But over the period of time that I've been sort of paying attention to whatever degree I have been, it's been nice to see CEOs like him and or presidents, and like Jack Tretton. Like, I feel like Jack Tretton went out in a good way too. I think Kaz Hirai, he's just not at PlayStation. He's just all of Sony, right?
Honestly, I don't know.
I mean, the executive hierarchy and lineage at any of these companies, it gets me confused. But my point here is, like, I'm gonna miss Reggie. He was an easy target. But also he seemed to revel in that. He seemed to like being the target, because Nintendo would always have a way to mess with things. Like when the Vita came out. This was after 3DS had been, I think it was less than a year after the 3DS came out. And Nintendo, unleashed like I think Animal Crossing and Mario 3D Land to the point where 3DS sales were just tearing it up, and this was like less than a week before the Vita launched, and it basically took all the wind out of Vita's initial sales. And I feel like the way he would present things, it was like super corporate, super straight laced, but he always had this little twinkle in his eye, like, I'll find a way to mess with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Or all the times he would, point to a lapel pin and say, I really like Metroid, and we still don't have a good Metroid out. Say what you want about Federation Force, Corey.
I didn't say it was a good game. I said it was a cool idea.
Yeah, I know.
Let's be fair.
But now
I want to be a bounty hunter in the Metroid universe in a Destiny style game. Let me tell you. But that game on the 3DS was not the way to do it.
Now I know that you're dialed into Nintendo more than I am. You have any sort of like greatest hits of the Reggie Fils-Aime era?
I mean, I didn't really like go out of my way to watch Reggie specifically, but like, a lot of the E3 stuff or a lot of the things he would do in the Nintendo Directs, or like when Iwata and Reggie did that Smash Brothers announcement skit where they were fighting each other. That was pretty funny. Or like the Robot Chicken stuff that they did.
Oh, jeez.
That was pretty funny. Like when he had a fire flower and his suit went from black and gray to like white and red was pretty funny. And then the Star Fox puppets was pretty funny too. Except
Star Fox puppets was
what's still even funnier is that the game was not good.
Well, it's a Star Fox game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Ubisoft made the best Star Fox game in years last year. So.
Well, I think a lot of the Star Fox games are like remembered fondly, but I'll be honest with you, I don't remember having any fun with Star Fox 64.
They just don't age well, I mean, the on rails 3D shooter is not a genre anymore. It needs to evolve, and
yeah.
I get it. Like, if the internet is so stuck on, I want the game this way, but don't change it, but make it look prettier. And I'm like, Star Fox can't survive in this ecosystem like that. You have to evolve it. You almost need something like Anthem or Destiny right now in a Star Fox game where like you're going on missions to upgrade your ships. It can be multiplayer. You go do missions together. You come back to the base or whatever and get your next mission and go out. Now it doesn't need to be Destiny or Anthem, but and it needs to be kind of like a light RPG, a light multiplayer RPG that you can go play with your friends.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Nintendo's always proven to be a company that they won't put out whims. Like they don't just be like, oh well, let's try this with this IP, or
I still want that Star Fox racing game.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But like, look at what they did with Tetris 99. I mean, if you put the words Tetris and Battle Royale in the same sentence before 2 weeks ago, like, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. There's no goddamn way. But they released it for free, and it is one of the best Battle Royale games I've played. If not the best. And that's mainly because it doesn't step outside anything other than being Tetris. I mean, and I don't know how much Reggie plays a part in decisions like that. But, everything, I mean, he's driving the Nintendo of America ship. Anything that releases while he's there is definitely his responsibility at some point, because I bet you he has to sign something saying, okay, do this. And I think he goes out well. I mean, the fact that the Switch is still, I don't think the Switch wave has crested yet. I feel like he can walk away, with his head held extremely high with how they were trying to
I mean, he definitely had a roller coaster ride because, like, he went through the GameCube, which, people look at that system fondly, but it only sold 20 million units. Not a lot of people were playing GameCube when the PS2 was out there. And then he rode the highs of the Wii, and then came back down for the Wii U. And
the Wii U was a crash landing, of which there were very few survivors. And the fact that he comes out of that and then into an era of the Switch, that's a big turnaround. And I think if it were me in that situation, this would probably be about the time I go out and be like, look, I don't think I'm going to do anything better unless I fail super hard again.
Mm-hmm.
And if I fail super hard again, I'm probably not walking away from it.
Yeah.
And I go out on a win, go out on a big win. And I think he did that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he definitely has. The Switch is a hit. The Switch is almost caught up to Xbox One in terms of sales, right? And this year seems to be like a decent year for Switch again. It's got they've got a lot of first party titles. They've got a lot of partnerships in terms of, I guess you would call them second party. Like they've got it, and there's still third party coming, like big third party games like Mortal Kombat 11, Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein. Like they've got the third party stuff there now. Granted, not really the best place to play those games, but still, I mean, if you're invested in the Switch, you'll probably check out Doom or Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I played Wolfenstein 2 was Switch. And it's not the prettiest version, but it's a serviceable version, and I give the Switch credit for that. But just the messaging of the Switch and him bringing it kind of through the end of the Wii U and into the Switch was it's interesting to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a lot for the Nintendo community. He's done a lot for video games in general, and I think the one big thing that we should credit him for is bringing personality to the executive spot of game.
Yeah.
Like now we have Sean Layden and Phil Spencer and Shuhei Yoshida. Well, not so much really anymore.
Shuhei and Jack Trenton kind of started that, but I feel like Reggie and Iwata leaned into it further.
Yeah,
they got a bit more animated with it, and while anybody outside the industry could probably look at it and be like, man, this is incredibly wrong on so many levels, it also feels incredibly right.
Mm-hmm.
It feels incredibly right to us who care about this thing, because it's just like
you like to see people you can relate to, I mean, not that we can relate to being like the president of Nintendo, but we can relate to a personality that we can engage with and is personable and likable. And
well, like getting back to the Smash Brothers where Iwata and he are fighting, like that is totally something you and I would just do if we were playing next to each other on a game.
Yeah, if we would fly through the air.
But like we would totally like mentally do that in our heads if we were like in the same room.
Right.
It would be something we'd pull off on NGR radio very well, but I still wouldn't put it past us for trying. But like the fact that you could look at it and as silly as it is, it's still relatable. Like it's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's not easy in any capacity. I don't care how good of an actor you are.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people are kind of drawn to Phil Spencer too, because he's kind of similar to Reggie in terms of being that personality in front, like the face of the company, and proving that he loves to play games just as much as the rest of us. And I think that really helps him kind of fulfill that role, because Microsoft's doing some interesting things. Whether it's going to help them out in the long run or not, we'll see. But right now they're doing some interesting things that I think maybe Nintendo has kind of looked at and said we can do that too with our classic stuff. They've done the kind of quote unquote Game Pass thing with their NES stuff so far, and I don't know, man. I'm gonna miss Reggie.
Yeah, I am too.
But when he announced that, I've been doing some research on Doug Bowser, which is just the
which is so
the perfect.
It is so wrong and inappropriate, but so right.
Yeah, if you want to follow on Twitter, it's pretty funny. The Real Bowser is his Twitter handle, and
are you kidding me?
No, it's the Real Bowser is his Twitter handle. Yeah, he's pretty funny. He's pretty funny. He like the first thing he tweeted was this picture that said "Thanks for the warm welcome," and behind him he had Mario and Luigi wrapped in like one of the those spiked cufflinks that Bowser wears. He had a Mario and Luigi. He had Mario and Luigi plushies like wrapped up in a Bowser wristband. It is pretty funny, and he seems like he gets it. Like he's playing along with the memes. He's liked a couple of the people who are sending his face photoshopped on Bowsette images, and he's like,
"Is it just real Bowser or the real Bowser?"
It might just be real Bowser. So I mean, he gets it. He seems like he's like really ready to step into that role, and we were talking about it on Pal Block the other day, where he needs his kind of memeable moment, the way that Reggie did it, and then he'll just be like, it'll just be second nature to consider him the president instead of Reggie, But I don't know, man. He seems to get it. He's been doing a lot of cool things online recently for Nintendo to kind of be like, hey, I'm here. I'm the new guy. But I mean, he's been at Nintendo for 4 years, right? He held the same position Reggie held before he was president. The executive vice president of marketing. He came from EA, and before that, I forget where he was before that, but he was at EA for like 8 years, I think, and switched over to Nintendo when I don't know. There's some rumors that he left EA because of some of their kind of predatory microtransaction practices, and but he found a home at Nintendo. He seems to be doing all right. So,
all right. Well,
he's really playing into the Bowser thing, though, which is
he should. He by all rights should.
Yeah.
If he comes out on the next Nintendo Direct breathing fire, my heart will be full.
Yeah. So, I mean, he seems like a cool dude. I'm glad, like, this kind of like this. I was thinking about it a lot, and like the Switch is really like, it's not just the name of the console. It seems to be the shifting the focus of the company, and the Switch. I know switching presidents is like one thing, but they seem to be moving forward in a new direction, an interesting direction, and a creative direction, which is what Doug Bowser is kind of known for, is kind of being creative with ideas and things. So it's going to be fun to see his take on Nintendo unfold in the next whatever few years, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, and then we'll be watching, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this really funny.
Don't mess this up.
I saw this really funny tweet the other day. It said, "How fitting is it that Nintendo hires an executive named Doug?" Because you thought it was just going to say Bowser like the rest of the internet, and it just says Doug.
Yep. Right. Yes. Doug. So I think that concludes the Reggie talk.
Yeah.
I got something I want to bring to you real quickly. Because I learned it this morning. There was a band in the 80s called Talk Talk. Many people nowadays won't know them directly unless you are dialed into like synth pop in a weird way. But they wrote the song "It's My Life," which was covered by No Doubt some years ago, and made a moderate to decent hit. No Doubt's cover is very by the numbers, and it doesn't really bring forth all the talent that's exhibited in "It's My Life" by Talk Talk. But this band was really good, and their frontman Mark Hollis passed away. He was 64, and I don't really like. I really like Talk Talk. If you were to ask me who my 50 favorite artists are, I still don't think they're in it. but two of their albums are easily among my 30 favorites of all time. But their career is they have 5 albums. Their career is a really odd one. They started out with a really weird looking cover for their debut album called The Party's Over. That was essentially synth pop of the day. Like, you know, this is like, I think their first album came out in either 80 or 81. And these dates might be wrong because I'm just going off the top of my head. But their first album is called The Party's Over, and it basically sounds like all of the synth pop happening at the time. So think like Duran Duran, think like Wham, or Depeche Mode, things like that. So very, very rhythm centric, very melodic, and definitely lots of synthesizers. But I always feel like the unsung highlight of this is Hollis's voice, and his voice is very beautiful. But it's not just the quality of it. It's like what he brings to it, and he brings like a kind of brooding passion. So he definitely sounds like a sad bastard. But I think within that, he was able to project a lot. And as this band progresses, his songwriting matures very, very fast. Their second album, called It's My Life, with their biggest hit probably. Spoiler alert, as I just said before, It's My Life. It was a product of like MTV becoming becoming popular through the use of music videos. And as you know, you and I both know, there was a time where MTV played music and it was really good.
It's true.
This was at
TRL, Carson Daly.
No, that was when it got bad. Fucking kids. But It's My Life is this kind of the same template as The Party's Over, with more of I feel like he brought more passion to his lyrics, and I think the synth hooks in it are actually really good. His third album was his biggest. I think it was their biggest hit in England. I don't remember how it did. I don't remember how it did here, but it was called The Color of Spring, and it had the song Life's What You Make It, which is on Pitchfork's I think it was either 200 or 500 best songs of the 80s, and it was in the top half of that list. That album is where they brought in different instrumentation, more like there's still synths involved, but it was more they did some acoustic, operated more like spacious in the studio, or in terms of like how their recordings are set up. Like there was a lot more space in them, and it overall sound is a bit closer to pop, just traditional pop and rock, than the early 80s reliant on synthesizers. But after this album, this is where they decided, yeah, we don't want to be famous anymore. They released an album in 1988 called Spirit of Eden. This is one of the best albums of the last 40 years, but it was drastically different, not only from what the band had done prior, but to what music was at the time. Like, I mean, there was an article I read about Spirit of Eden on Music Aficionado. I read it today again, but I'd read it before because it came across my social media at some point. But it was very much a product of what Hollis was listening to at the time, which is a lot of like early mid 70s experimental stuff like Can, or especially like Taco Mago, or like ambient modern composers like Debussy and some others. This is a very it's a weird mix of quiet and loud and almost symphonic without having like the full ensemble of a symphony. The article on Music Aficionado talked about it in the same breath as like post rock, which is bands like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Slint, Explosions in the Sky, Do Make Say Think. Very chamber poppy, very long pieces, big bands, and mostly instrumental. And this is it's a very different album, and I think if I were to hard pressed, you asked me to do my 30 favorite albums of all time, this album's on it. Same with their final album, Laughing Stock. Spirit of Eden got Talk into some trouble because they decided, we're not going to tour, and I think that had some sort of legal ramification at the time. And EMI, their publisher, essentially sued them. And after they put out their final album, Laughing Stock, which was even weirder than Spirit of Eden, it's quieter, it's spacier, and it's further out there. And by all means, in my opinion, it's just as good as Spirit of Eden. This would be, if not on my top 30 albums of all time, it would be very close. It was essentially the straw that broke the camel's back, because it became the band operating for themselves rather than for success. And sometimes when you do that, it fails super hard. And both of those albums in particular are worth folks' time. And I mean, even their synth stuff is really good. And it's sad to see Mark Hollis, pass away. I may he rest in peace, because he was a great songwriter, a great singer. And he, after Talk disbanded in 1992, I think, he released one solo album in 1998 and basically said, I'm done with music. I don't know what he's been doing since, because he has kind of just stayed away from the spotlight in every sense of the word. He didn't really disappear. Like, he was always sort of around and living his life, but he just didn't go searching for spotlights. And the weird thing is, when I read the first article I read, I think it was on Brooklyn Vegan, that he had passed. Like, it was all just hearsay as to whether or not he had actually passed. Like, so reports are coming in that Mark Hollis died. We've reached out and we haven't gotten confirmation. And, but all signs are pointing to, we've lost Mark Hollis. And then eventually, I think Pitchfork confirmed it through his longtime manager and one of the other members of Talk. Like, everybody was posting, they were posting in memoriam pieces on Twitter or wherever. And it sucks that he's gone. It sucks that Talk kind of got the shaft that they did, but also the music is there, and if you are interested in that, you should check it out.
Nice.
It was either talk about that or Mobile Suit Gundam, so I'll do that the next episode.
Yeah. What is your favorite song
by them?
Yeah. I'm engaging in the conversation.
I mean, I appreciate the effort. I mean, I really like the entire second side of Spirit of Eden. I think the opener for that is it's called Inheritance. And I mean, I will probably sit down and digest this album multiple times over the next couple of days. I may actually write about it, because it's an album that I forget I love so much, which is really weird, but it's also appropriate for that album. But yeah, Inheritance on Spirit of Eden, it was none of those songs I think were singles, or if they released a single, it didn't do well. But if you wanted to if you wanted to look at more of the pop sense, I would go the opener on It's My Life, Dum Dum Girl is a really good pop song. It's My Life is a really good pop song. The first track on The Party's Over, called Talk Talk, is really good. Life is What You Make It, Happiness is Easy, On the Color of Spring. And yeah, the entirety of the album Spirit of Eden would be like that would be the stuff I would say, yeah, you should listen to this. If you don't like this, you're not going to like this band. If you start on Spirit of Eden and you say, hey, this is pretty good, check out Laughing Stock. That will probably be the one that's not everybody's cup of tea, for sure. But yeah, they put out some of the more beautiful music of the 80s, and they are easily one of the more underrated bands of that decade. So check them out. They are streaming everywhere, as far as I know.
Nice.
Or just YouTube them.
I just looked them up on Amazon Music. They're there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, their stuff, despite being overlooked and underrated, they are not hard to find, which is good.
Well, R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace, Mark Hollis. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the music, because he did it good.
Yeah, Matt, I think you would be proud of me. By the way,
yeah,
I did something music related this past weekend. I was going to bring it up on Nerds Gone Rogue, but we got so into talking about other games and stuff.
Yeah, so into really wanting to. I really want to like Anthem, but we talked a lot about how it's bad.
I know. I mean, I want to like it too. I do. Okay. Well,
let's save. No,
yeah, save it.
Save
it. Yep. We watched Bohemian Rhapsody this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you think?
It was good. I feel like they took some liberties on some things, and I definitely know they didn't cover some things, but you know, it was a Bryan Singer biopic.
Yeah.
So you put that together how you want to, and don't get me wrong, like Rami Malek was really good. Mm-hmm. I thought the parts where like the actual music parts of the movie were good, right?
Okay.
Where they were performing, where they kind of transitioned between like, you know, as Queen progressed as a band, and then the Live Aid stuff was really cool. Like all the music stuff was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife did a lot of research after the movie, because that's what she does after she sees something she really likes, and like they took a lot of liberties on some facts. So to make a good movie, I guess. But
I mean, yeah, and that's just Hollywood. Like,
yeah,
that's what that is.
I mean, I watched it because I like Queen, and I was like interested in like, you know, kind of using this movie to not as a history lesson, but to just kind of like learn a little bit more about like Queen in general, and you know, it was a good jumping off point for that. But
yeah, I feel like they're one of those bands that I know a lot of their music, but I actually don't know a ton about them.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time I watch something, like when Behind the Music was a thing, I watched Behind the Music on Queen, and like I still don't really feel like I learned a whole lot, despite it being an hour long and teaching me about all this music of theirs that I'd never really heard.
Yeah,
I mean, growing up in the Midwest, all I really heard was "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions."
Yeah, Mighty Ducks represent.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, you know, well, I heard it before the Mighty Ducks, but
no, I know. I'm just
eventually, you know, I learned about Another One Bites the Dust and Bohemian. Well, I learned Bohemian Rhapsody through Wayne's World, and then I'm like, I should probably dig into this, and then that's when you find out about, you know, they had a ton of really solid albums. They had like a streak that is really undefeatable in a way. Like,
yeah,
their first album, sure, not great, but their second album up until like I think maybe Hot Space, and this is because I don't know their albums back and forth, just because there are so many good ones.
Yeah.
But they had a streak through the 70s that was scary good.
Yeah.
I mean, Night at the Opera is one of the coolest albums of all time, just because Brian May does so much with his guitar, and it also has Bohemian Rhapsody on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sheer Heart Attack could be the best glam rock album of all time, but I don't think anybody wants to hear anybody else in that conversation other than T-Rex. But yeah, Queen 2 On is definitely worth your time. And the period of theirs that I'm the least familiar with is their post Live Aid material.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything from that era.
Yeah.
And because they have a dense catalog.
Yeah, they do. I didn't like some of the stuff I didn't even realize was like them, you know, like, I mean, like I had heard the song and I'm like, oh yeah, that's them. Like my wife even said that, like Fat Bottom Girls.
How did you not know that was Queen?
Well, I mean, I knew, I didn't know it was their song. Like okay. I know Poison covered that song for a while. Funny story about Poison. I'll have to save it for a different day. But yeah, we were just like, man, I guess I didn't realize that was them. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fat Bottom Girls, they make the rock and world go round. But yeah, they even had. I mean, they even produced one of the things that hip hop would use as a sample for forever. Another One Bites the Dust. Like, yeah. I mean, that's right out of Chic's wheelhouse, and yeah. Queen was great. Yeah. Listen to Queen as well.
Yes.
Talking Queen. Check them out. Check them both out.
Yeah. It was funny because Son and I were talking about it, and we were like, man, somebody out there is probably real dumb and like, man, this movie's good. We should buy the soundtrack to the movie. Guess what? There's a soundtrack to Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's called All of Queen's Work.
Oh man, it was just funny because like we thought somebody would be dumb enough to think like that this wasn't like a real band, and then I go online to see if there's actually a soundtrack, and there's actually a soundtrack.
Well, it's a movie. Of course, there's going to be a soundtrack.
I know, but it's just like buy Queen's Greatest Hits or something. That's the soundtrack to the movie. You know, I mean,
yeah,
but on the soundtrack comes with a DVD that has like the full Live Aid concert on it, which is kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
So, and then they have some like
concert, probably their best.
And then they have the post Freddie Mercury death recording, some songs from after his death that they recorded. They're just like samples and stuff, but never really released because well, he died. By the way, Freddie Mercury died on my 5th birthday. Fun fact. Not really a fun fact, but
no, there's nothing fun about that. Okay. On that note, I think that's been a B-side, Corey.
Yeah, it's probably a good time. You know what I got on my 5th birthday? Ninja Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan for Game Boy.
Not even fucking surprised. Fall of the Foot Clan was the fall of Freddie Mercury. That's what it is.
Oh boy.
Tie it all together.
And on that note.
And we're done. So take us home, Corey.
Ah, man. All right. So like we said, we're going to try to do at least one B-sides every month. You'll be able to find that B-side on the I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out scheduling-wise. But you can catch our main show, Nerds Gone Rogue, on Mondays at 7 a.m. Eastern Time and on youtube.com/NGR Radio and on podcast services around the world, the globe, the internet. Is that how you say that?
In the known universe as well.
Yeah.
We got some of that new stuff that no one's heard of yet.
Yeah. You can follow Matt at Infinite_Rewind on social media.
Yeah.
You can follow me at Corey NHD713 on Twitter and Corey NHD on Instagram and Twitch. And you can catch us all around places. So I got to figure out how to outro this show. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I don't remember anything anymore.
I'm rusty, man.
That's okay.
So, anyways.
The B-side. It's cool.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for watching. Matt, thanks for joining me on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah. Platinum is live right now, so you should go check
also
it out.
true. Also true. I'm going to go invade their chat right now.
That's why we're not, live publicly, so we're not taking anything from them. But anyway, B-side Nana and out.